All right, well, welcome back. Today we have yet another PTZ camera. Standard disclaimer, this was sent to me to review. This is not one that I purchased, but I am excited to take a look at it. It's another kind of low-cost entry into the market. So this is a sub-$1,000 PTZ. And where these are finding use and why there are so many on the market right now, of course, is for all the different ways that people stream today. So we've got church services and governments, and I've had emails and Facebook messages from people who are streaming their kids' swim meets and all sorts of things. And the nice thing about a PTZ is it's a remote control pan, tilt, zoom camera. So if you're a single person operator, you know, maybe with like an ATM Mini or something you're working from, you can actually move and affect the camera angles all by yourself or with a very small team versus having to have operators at the individual cameras. Of course, the other thing that the thing that made PTZs really in the first place was actually for video conferencing. Originally, they were used almost exclusively in the video conferencing space to remote control cameras to focus on whoever it is that was speaking, and kind of your higher end, video conferencing venues, in corporate markets and things like that, where they wanted to be able to do that. They still find a lot of use there as well, but today we're going to be looking at this one, especially this one in terms of its usefulness for live streaming, which of course is the focus of this channel. So this is the AVKANS. I really need to figure out how to pronounce these before I start recording. We're going with AVKANS. This is their AVKANS, and the box says NDI HX PTZ camera. So let's get it out of the box and put it through its paces. All right, so here we go. One thing I noticed right away is that this is a package and ship box, so it's not a box within a box. So we're cutting down on cardboard a little bit there, which I guess is nice. Got our standard protector, and then right away we got our camera. So here it is. This is the AVKANS. Go ahead and just giving it a look over. It looks honestly fairly familiar. Similar form factor to ones that I've seen before. Similar port offerings with your LAN and your HDMI, your SDI. Kind of your standard legacy serials ports, and then your line in and your CVBS. So that's all kind of as I would expect it to be. Looking up front, again, this is a very kind of similar, familiar looking package, which is really what I would expect in a camera like this. Now, one thing to note is on the back here, on most of these, you've got this little dial, and that little dial actually controls what the video output is, so that you can control it from the back of the camera without having to get into the internal software and guts of this if you don't want to. If you just want to set it to a certain resolution, that's what that dial is for. And nearly all of them have a cheat sheet on the bottom to tell you what to set that dial to in order to get the resolution out of the camera that you want on your HDMI and your SDI connections. So that's an important little step. If you mount this camera, you're going to cover that up. So you maybe take a picture of it with your phone. Sometimes you'll find these in the owner's manual. Sometimes you actually won't. So it's good to just check the bottom of the camera and take a look at that. But as a camera, I would say that is what I would have expected to find. So like that, let's see what else is in our box. Doesn't look like much, which is fine with me. So we've got a standard 12-volt power connector with your barrel plug, and your handy remote control. Which again is one that I have seen before, which again I am also not surprised by. This particular setup doesn't seem to include any mounts or anything like that. I did check Amazon. There are some that have mounts included. If you want to go ahead and get a mount for the camera when you buy the camera, that is available. This setup also doesn't seem to include, I'm not seeing anywhere, any of the kind of legacy serial connection cables, which is probably okay, because if you don't know if you need that, you probably don't. And I am building up quite a collection of those cables. So not having another one is really not a big deal. So it's pretty minimal setup, everything you'd expect you need, not much that you don't. So let's get this guy plugged in and take a look and see what its performance is like. All right, I have my camera set up, connected to the TV behind me, and pointed at the color test card, which is our standard test around here these days. And I can tell you this is a camera, and it seems to be working and performing at the same level of most all the cameras at this price point. I did look it up. This is AVKANS kind of entry-level product. This is on Amazon at the time I'm recording this for around $650. It's a little bit more if you want the NDI version, a little bit more if you want one of the brackets that will come with it. You know, and at that price point, it performs as I would expect it to perform, which means it performs fine. These projects, again, kind of originated as like conference room cameras and things like that. If you're using this for like worship or something that's kind of a bigger production, you may want to step up to a higher quality webcam. And what you're going to get with that higher quality webcam usually is that bigger sensor that is, for one thing, going to usually do things like your color and all that a little bit better. These guys do offer a 4K model with that larger sensor that is also very competitively priced. For a 4K camera, of course, you are going to pay more for that. I think it's like $1,900. But what you're getting for that money is that much, much better image sensor that is going to be, even if you don't use the 4K resolution, is going to be really good, much better at things like color accuracy and those sorts of things. So if you're looking for kind of an entry, get you started camera, maybe it's your first PTZ camera, this is a good option. It will work. It will talk with any controller. I did, you know, play around with the remote, which is the kind of standard remote these cameras come with. You can set presets on here. You can move between those presets and all of that. So a little bit of a shorter review today because, frankly, if you watched any of the other reviews on my channel, you kind of know how this goes. This is a PTZ camera, and it's a fine PTZ camera. It works well. I would be curious about their 4K model. I would also be curious, the other thing that these guys offer is what they advertise as an auto tracking model, which is similar form factor as far as it being a PTZ, but apparently will actually auto track a subject. I'm not quite sure how that works. I'd love to get my hands on one and review one. That's one that something people ask about a lot. This does not have that, nor does anything at this price point have that. So that's not unexpected. But I will record some footage testing out the camera through the ATEM Mini like I did before and show you a comparison to some of the other cameras that I've done, probably the Smart AV, which is the camera that sort of launched this channel. But in summary, I'm going to say, it's fine. It works well. It does what it needs to do. There's nothing super fancy about it, but you're not paying a super fancy price either. So if you're looking for a good entry-level PTZ to get you started, or add a second camera to an existing setup, this would not be a bad choice, in my opinion. It seems to just works. It does what it does, and it does it well. All right. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Hey everybody, if you found that video helpful, please hit like and subscribe, and also check the video description for links to any products you've seen in today's videos. Doing that really helps support this channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment with any questions that you may have. A lot of the content I do is based directly on the questions and the feedback you give, so keep that coming and I will keep making them. Thank you.